Hello everyone, it's Danita Jones, and I am presenting form number 38, Conference Form for Determining Importance. First, I wanted to start my presentation by defining the reading strategy itself, determining importance. It's a strategy that we use for reading comprehension, reading for meaning, and understanding. It's not necessarily for recall, but does help with recall. It helps the student focus on what's the most important in the text so that a deeper meaning and overall understanding can be achieved. It's a three-part strategy. First, you want to find the purpose before reading, and then using the purpose to identify important details, and then ultimately using the details to figure out the big ideas. And then that first step, finding the purpose, we want to teach our students preview techniques to infer the author's purpose. So looking at the cover of the book, the pictures, reading the title, details about the author, and the abstract, which is usually located on the back of the book or the inside flaps. Reading the table of contents, headings, chapter titles, chapter summaries, highlighted text, italicized text, and then ultimately scanning or skimming the text. And identifying purpose. So what is the purpose for reading the text? Why is the reader reading it? What is the author's purpose for writing the text? Those are to define purpose for your student. And to do that, you can do it through fiction or nonfiction, a little bit different. So you want to look at the main characters, main settings, big problems, and solutions in a fiction text. And then in a nonfiction text, some ways to help identify purpose through main topics, details, facts, and ideas. Using purpose to identify important details, just seeking important information unlocks the meaning of the material. And then determining the importance helps the reader to understand why it's important. And students use the purpose for reading to identify important details in the text. And to define big ideas. The main idea, which is different from the big idea, is the topic the author has chosen to write about. So you're looking at something like the main idea is a boy who has an imaginary cat and they're traversing through this imaginary world. Main idea. Big idea is the boy is struggling with poverty. So kind of like a conceptual understanding versus retell. Texts don't always explicitly state what the big idea is. Nonfiction texts may not always have a big idea, as the text is informational and may only have a big idea. Some example of big ideas are courage, fairness, goals, honesty, hope, integrity, respect, teamwork, love, that sort of thing. When a student understands the big idea, they are demonstrating a deeper understanding of the text. And I found an analogy when I was researching the strategy itself that I thought, it stuck with me and I thought it might be helpful. But the main idea is essentially like this shallow end of the pool. So you're getting an understanding of the text, but not like the big idea, which is the deep end of the pool, the deeper understanding and meaning of the text. And then to talk about the form itself. It was a pretty user-friendly form, just like all of the rest of them. Easy, very clear on what you're looking for and the answers that you're seeking. So why would we need to use the form? To establish a student's understanding of the reading strategy and how well they use it. How, through a short 3 to 5 minute conference with the student. When, after reading the text. Who, the teacher, and the student, and what. Form 38. A student's written work using the strategy and observational notes are all things that you would want to bring to the conference. And I wanted to talk about some of the troubleshooting strategies that the author put in the book. This one I pulled specifically from page 67, and it talks about this reading strategy itself. But she goes over a lot of troubleshooting with all of the forms, and those are actually located on pages 66 through 69. So an example of a troubleshooting strategy would be the student cannot explain the strategy itself. So some scaffolding and reteaching ideas would be to explain the importance of preview for background knowledge and setting purposes for reading. So I wanted to share that with you guys if you hadn't noticed that. And then the importance of conferencing. I know other people have gone over this. I started my presentation earlier, so it's probably just duplicate information, but good information nonetheless. So conferencing allows us to create scaffolds and develop teaching and reteaching plans that can maximize a student's progress. Before waiting for those assessment results and then realizing, later that, oh man, this student really didn't grasp the strategy and I need to reteach, long after you've taught the strategy. And then during a conference, it helps gauging a student's understanding of how to apply the strategy, how the strategy supports comprehension, whether they can successfully apply the strategy, if scaffolding is improving the student's understanding, whether students are ready for a gradual release with the strategy, and whether reteaching will support the student's understanding and application of the strategy. And then finally, tips for conferencing. Keep it short. I know the author talks about easy management, because when I first read about all of these conferences, I was imagining 20 conferences in a day with every student and how overwhelming that kind of seemed. But she does talk about chunking it and doing only a few students at a time and keeping them short. So that's definitely a good strategy. Know your focus in advance and share that focus with your student to remain on topic and to keep you both focused. Structure the conference so the student does most of the talking. I think this is an obvious one, but sometimes as teachers we want to teach and do the talking. But if you're trying to gauge a student's understanding, we really want them to do most of the talking. And then finally, use the data collected. So use the information that you've obtained in order to develop those reteaching strategies, restructuring your lesson plans and interventions in order to help the student. And that's it for me. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.